And then, and here's the real trick, is learn to take notes in key words versus, instead of, phrases or clauses, or, worst case scenario, whole sentences. Now, there is one time when you would want to write down an entire sentence or copy an entire sentence or maybe more from a book. What is the one time you would want to do that? Zane?
A quote.
Yes. If you were going to quote or cite this, right? So with sentences, if you use a quote or a citation, and you're going to have a citation, then that's when you might copy a whole sentence. But in general, you want to learn to work with keywords. Now, some of you may have some experience taking notes with keywords. For others of you, this may be a little bit of a new idea. So we're going to start assuming nobody's done this before and show you how this can work. So I have a little article here. Here is a little article which should be of interest to all college, university-bound students on plagiarism. And if you learn nothing else, you might learn how to spell this word. Because it's not commonly used a lot by people, and it is a little odd. But let's read through, and then I'll show you how we can take notes using a keyword outline. So here you go. The 1st century Roman poet Martial, or Martial, depending how you pronounce your Latin, and there are many opinions about how to pronounce Latin words, and nobody really knows because nobody talked to this guy since he lived in the 1st century. Martial used the Latin word plagiarus, literally kidnapper, to describe another poet who he claimed had kidnapped some of his verses. In 1620, the term plagiarism entered the English language and is today defined as, quote, presenting work or ideas from another source as your own, with or without consent of the original author, by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. Footnote. Do you see the little one? And you look down below. Why did I have to do that? Eliza?
It's a direct quotation.
It's a direct quotation. And if I didn't do that, I would be guilty of
plagiarism.
Usually, this is done for personal, social, political, or financial gain. Plagiarism can be divided into 3 categories: literal, academic, and commercial. Literal plagiarism occurs when a writer copies the exact wording of someone else's prose and does not give credit to the source. Most common among high school and college students, this can undermine one's reputation among faculty and peers and even result in a poor or failing grade. Academic plagiarism occurs when another's original research and or ideas are represented as one's own. This has more serious consequences and may even result in expulsion or professional censure. Commercial plagiarism, which may occur in journalism, politics, or business, can result in disgrace, termination, or even lawsuits. Today, because of the ubiquity of computers and the internet, plagiarism, literal and academic, is increasingly common. It is tempting, sometimes overwhelmingly so, for students to just cut and paste content for their papers. Most universities provide guidelines to help students understand and avoid plagiarism while emphasizing the importance of proper documentation. Many schools use online plagiarism detection software, which compares a submitted paper with a large database of existing papers. These programs mostly search for frequency of word repetition and text string overlaps. Some even employ stylometry. I never knew that word until just recently. Stylometry, which uses statistics to identify an author's particular usage patterns. Consequently, while a student today can easily copy verbatim from almost anything ever published, modern technology also makes it more likely that the prose kidnapper will be caught. How many of you have had a warning from a teacher or a school or a professor or anybody about this? Yes. So if you haven't, you probably will. And the problem is unfortunately seeming to be very widespread these days. And of course, some students, if they just copy stuff off the internet and then they don't do anything to change it or cite it or anything, and then they get caught, like, you didn't write this, they don't get the idea that there's something wrong with that. A lot of students have the opinion, hey, I'm just using technology. That's what we do, right? But there are many teachers and many schools that still consider it a very serious offense. And a lot of the schools will try to educate you on how to avoid what I'm sure in your case, because you're all such good people, would be accidental plagiarism. Okay, so now we have this little article, and I would like to show you how we work with keywords to create keyword outlines so that we can then study and review the information. So you probably have enough space right on that paper there. And so we like to make, so this is a 3-paragraph piece. So we will use the Roman numeral just to indicate new paragraph. Okay, so we go to the first sentence again. The first century Roman poet Martial used the Latin word plagiaris, depending how you pronounce your Latin, plagiaris, literally kidnapper, to describe another poet who he had claimed kidnapped some of his verses. So we read the sentence again, and then we will choose a maximum of 4 keywords. So with younger children, I usually teach this using 3, but at the upper and adult level, 4 seems to work very well. I wouldn't go more than 4 for this exercise, right? But what words would you choose there in terms of being the words that would help carry or transfer or transmit the meaning here? Allie, what do you like?
We would use Martial. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly.
Martial, yeah.
Plagiaris.
Plagiaris, okay.
And I would say poet.
You would
Describing another poet.
Okay, poet. And then you could have one more if we're going with a limit of 4.
Kidnapped. I mean, well, that's what the other word means. Verses? The verses? He stole his verses.
Well, if he's a poet, he's writing verses. Probably the kidnapped. I mean, that's the interesting, amusing part, do you think? All right, so we'll go with kidnapped. So you can mark on your paper if you like. Otherwise, we will go ahead and transfer those keywords into the first slot of the keyword outline. So now, that's not a word, but it is what?
An abbreviation.
Abbreviation. Here's the good news. We allow 4 whole words, and then abbreviations, numbers, and symbols would be free. So why did I write that? What am I abbreviating there? Millie?
First century.
First century. Okay, so that's free. Then we've got the guy whose name we don't know how to pronounce. Just makes you want to run and look up some of his verses, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Okay. He used the word Plagiarists. Why did I put that in cursive? Leah?
Italicized.
It's italicized. Why is it italicized?
Is Latin?
Yeah, foreign word, right? So I did that, and that'll remind me. And then he was a poet. And some other poets kidnapped his verses. Okay, so that's the first sentence, and it was, 2 lines long, but we got it into a few words. Okay, next one. In 1620, the term plagiarism entered the English language and is today defined as the representation of another author's language, thoughts, ideas, or expression as one owns original work. Okay, again, a fairly long sentence. We get 4 words. There is a freebie. What's that?
1620?
1620, okay. So that's free. That's when they first recorded someone using it in its modern form. Okay, what do you think?
Probably representation.
Okay, representation. Another's. Okay. Hunter, you want to give him a suggestion there?
Ideas?
Ideas, okay. Or, because it's saying language, thoughts, ideas, and expressions, and we can't do all of that, what word would be most encompassing of those 4?
Original, maybe? No.
Work.
Yeah, work, maybe.
Thoughts.
Thoughts, although it's not just thoughts, but
Expression.
yeah, language would include all that, right? So thoughts, ideas, expressions. So let's go with language. And then what would be the other one? I think you said it.
Ideas?
Own. Or work.
Original?
Yeah.
I think someone said that, so original. We'll see if it works. We can actually test our outline and see if it works. So this is the definition, and I'll put quotations because it is a definition. Representation, another's, language as original. Okay, so hopefully then those words remind us of this idea. We'll test it out. Okay, last sentence in this first little paragraph. Usually, this is done for personal, social, political, or financial gain. All right, keywords.
Gain?
Gain, okay, there's one, gain. And you could have a few more. And it's not a long sentence, so pick any. What do you like, Erin?
Personal.
Personal. That's 2. Can I have another one? Yeah.
Social.
Social. Can I have one more if you like?
Financial.
Financial, okay. All right, so that gives us 4. Well, there's only 3 sentences, so we only need 2. Okay. Personal, social, financial gain. And if you're a student in school, why might you be tempted to copy someone else's stuff without giving credit?
You run out of ideas and it can simulate what you're thinking and trying to express.
Right. And you would do that not for financial gain, but you would do it because? Well, you wouldn't. But some people might do it because? Come on.
Personal gain.
And what would that look like when you're in school?
Good grade.
Grades, yes. You would like a better grade because that, I don't know, everybody thinks you should get good grades, right? Yeah. So, okay, so only 2. Sorry I put the 3, but you can just cross it off in your paper. This is a first step in the process of becoming an excellent note taker, and that is to learn to work with keywords. In this exercise, we have taken the keywords from every sentence of something. However, if this were 5 pages, would you want to take keywords from every sentence of a 5-page article? Not only would it be not fun, it would be maybe too much information to be useful. So when we move to the next phase, okay, then what we're going to look at is not choosing keywords from every sentence, but just keywords from some of the sentences. Then we're going to move on past that very quickly to a way to organize spatially the keywords that will be even more effective than just putting them in rows and columns.